where this was coming from. What?
Well, naturally, what do they say? It's better to fear, to be humbled by fear than say sorry when you are dead, really. And so, basically, that is what it meant. I noticed that I normally don't provide translations for some of these. I make people go and figure. And I suspected that the AVs on the platform were helping the others, non-AVs, and so it was a bit of fun. But I posted that from the position of, what should I say? It's something personally I like. I like that particular proverb. And I thought, on the spot, the moment, I thought I should just post it. So people were reading all manner of meanings into it, but really, I was just trying to say that, like the hen or the chicken or would normally say, the fowl would say, that it's better to be afraid than arrogantly walk into the jaws of death, basically. So that's what it is, and that there's no connotations to the political situations at all. Not at all.
But reading comments, there are people who are suggesting that this one is Ahmad directed at the Tiglinyi people.
Well, as you know, the Tiglinyi could be felled by a simple ant, isn't it? And so I could have equally posted something to that effect as well, but obviously did not. But sometimes my posts are a bit cryptic, probably more cryptic, and so people decide to decode the way they want to decode, whatever it means for anybody. So be it. But in truth, really, I didn't have any political insinuations in mind at the time that I posted it.
And I'm sure you monitored closely what happened in Assin North after all the reports you have been listening to and everything. What's your assessment of what happened there?
Well, it was just pure recompense in good measure, being directed at the doorsteps of Mr. Justice Question, and if you like, maybe by extension to the party that you represent. Because quite clearly, the machinations of the state, it was quite clear. The forces were marshaled in order to nail him to a cross that he was not supposed to bear. All told me one thing, that clearly this was a campaign for justice, as the word had been used, and development. And so, for me, whatever happened was, I read through it and I realized that this was just vindictiveness at another level. And I knew that the people of Sin were definitely going to reject that particular notion that you can use state resources, marshal all the forces of state in order to pin down someone who, quite frankly, didn't deserve all of this at all. So that's by way of inference or deductions, all that I made about the Assin of elections. It was quite clear, and of course, the people could say that it was an overnight development, if you like, the attempt to construct roads and all of that. But clearly speaking, for me, that also aided the people to defer all that had happened to Gachikwe, really.
And I had someone in the studio who was drawing attention to the fact that Assin North seemed to be, since its creation in 2012, one of the constituencies that actually reflects the pulse of the nation. There were lots of people who felt that, what is happening on the ground in Assin North, and looking at where Ghana was currently, it would be shocking if the New Patriotic Party won Assin North. Was that a view you share?
Well, don't forget that this is the central region, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's supposed to be a spring region. I mean, the central region obviously are not the robots, and so they obviously have their mind of their own. They are not like places in certain parts of the country where obviously even if you put a sheep there, you'll definitely vote for the person. I think I've seen people are quite discerning, if by extension the people of Central region are extremely discerning. And indeed, if they swing in a particular way, it also tells you how the national polls are likely to go. So it's instructive that the NDC takes this lesson, and maybe then people will take the lesson a lot more. What I saw in Assin for the MPP was, in spite of this marshalling of state, was just very weak effort. Weak, too weak. Weak campaign message. There was no message actually. Actually, there was no message. All I heard was that the person is probably a criminal and that needs to be jailed. Something to that effect. It was all that was being propagated. And so by design, it was bound to fail from the get go. Not forgetting the fact that the Charles guy was in actual fact quite a nobody in the area, and so the votes he even garnered were just that of the institutional party that the MPP is. So for me, beyond just being a reflection of the national, the pulse of the nation, I suspect that the NDC ought to be quite clever in not to think that it's a done deal. I think there's a lot of work still needs to be done. The MPP, on the other hand, has to be worried that they are losing grounds and they are losing, in some regard, when their own people also stay away from voting. But clearly, the NDC seems to be gaining the momentum and increasing their votes in the last two by-elections. And so, if there's anything reflective of a national trend, there you have it. I think that the MPP would have to, I don't have to tell any party how they should strategize, but quite clearly what I saw was that there was no message at all. That they never for once even explained or apologized for the nature of the economy and the fact that they led us limping into the IMF jaws, even though we advised that they should go. So there was really nothing. And the people were not stupid. You know, when people were taking the money and saying they were going to vote against them, that's exactly the reflection you get. You know, so it could be reflective of a trend. And indeed, I've seen some other international media platforms suggest same for the NDC. I can say that the NDC seems to be sailing right now, and they probably need to do what they are doing and do it better.
Well, for the MPP, was this always not going to be a difficult task? Because even in Kumewu, a stronghold of theirs, there were people who had to even go on their knees and beg people openly. There were even photographs taken of them. They were still not bothered because they realized that was what they needed to do. And the fact that they were not going to this kind of constituency, is this what they should be looking forward to? And it would begging and apologizing for where we are currently help them?
It appears though that the horse has already left the stable in that regard when it comes to probably begging. Maybe it should be done on a national level. And I think that even though the president will not have an opportunity to beg everybody, because he will never do it, by the way, his predecessors to be, if luck smiles on them, would have to start doing more of the begging and probably they ask for atonement of their sin. Because, and maybe that could stem the tide a little bit. But from what I see, there must be some full disclosure essentially on the things that they thought went wrong and exactly what they should do better. As I said, I'm not interested in the campaign strategy of any political party. And I don't think that begging is indeed a wise thing to be doing when in actual fact you should be explaining to people how their lives would be better off. I think begging is just defeat. I don't think it's even a sensible thing to do. I suspect what you should be telling the people is that, look, we made these mistakes. We went into this program because we were foolhardy. We were stubborn. We didn't listen. We split the economy badly against all the advice given by everybody. And that we may change a number of things. But in changing things, we'll do this different. that also has to be said, and not just say that or do it differently, but show how you do it as well. That may be what may change for the MPs. And I think the NDC may also want to be taking lessons from it as well. Otherwise, it's a slippery slope for the NDC. They need to be afraid, very, very afraid.
You've been running Imani for some time and been in the civil society space for a while. Were you also worried about the money sharing, excavators being moved, the work on the road, or you think that's for amateurs who are new to the game? Is this something that you're getting used to now?
Well, I suspect the question rather should be for the people who receive these things. Are they getting used, or are they now used to it, and have they become wiser? I suspect that's the real question. For me, I only watch what happens and probably observe and report. But the recipient of these things have become a bit wiser. In fact, in one of the videos I saw, I laughed out loud this dawn. I think the young girls in Assin were saying that, well, listen, we took the money, we voted against you, and we are not like the people of Kumewu. By inference, Kumewu people were getting peanuts, right? 3 CDs, 5 CDs, and maybe cocoa and all sorts of things, sachet, millet, and 1 cup of rice and all of that. This guy's got 200 CDs. It's so funny. They got 200 CDs and still voted against them anyway. So they were saying, we are not Kumewu people. Which goes again to buttress the point that they are not fickle-minded. These guys are central region people are a bit more sophisticated. But beyond that, they also say that they are not cheap, really. So the answer to your question directly is to say that it is not for me to say. It is for the people to keep receiving and then keep becoming much more sophisticated. And the more of such things that happen, the better the lessons will be for the politician. Because you can't raise the bar any higher any longer. Are you going to give 500 to this? That tells them that, well, this guy has more money to split, right? And they'll keep on taking the money and voting against you. That's all that is happening will happen across the country. If anybody tries to share money, I'll urge them to behave like the people of Assin, collect the money and decide the way they want to. Actually vote it.
Generally, if you put this election into all the metrics you use in assessing an election, what would you say?
I'll say that the pulse of the nation has been tested. Twice has been tested due to by-election. I think the incumbent went into an overdrive to do all that it can to win the Kumewu seat. But the NDC, that wasn't popular by the MP, even though it was a safe seat for the MPP. They increased his vote by, I think, about 3,000, right? He did that in the Kumewu one. Kwesing is a solid figure. I think that Kwesing's persona actually trumps almost everything else, and the fact that the marshalling of forces to persecute, to denigrate, and to destroy Kwesing also really garnered the people to say that this is a gentleman, this is a good man. Why persecute him? Great. And that helped. But the point I'm making, even that he garnered some probably 2,000 more votes. Of course, if you compare the percentage out and in terms of the voter out, and there was also a little bit increase. So you can say that he gained votes, even though I've seen people say that they lost votes marginally by over 200 votes. But you need to watch the out and voter turnout, which in this case was a bit higher than the 2021. So collectively, the two would be testing the pulse of the nation, and I suspect, as I said, that the MPP ought to be very, very afraid and put their house in order. What is not going to help them is that they will be talking themselves in pieces before the main election. And while they do that, the NDC must be sailing smoothly while we talk about the economy, what they will do differently, and exactly how to. I mean, you know how that matters to us at Imani. You talk about business plans of political parties. They are more interested in the plans rather than just a question of what I will do. We are interested in the business plan. Tell us, give us alternatives. And I see that there are attempts by the NDC to do that. John obviously is on the trail, and I hope that he continues on that path. And then demonstrate, and then that's a bit more. What I disagree with John really about was this licensure exemption. I don't know whether it's supposed that be I think it's an atrophy that the licensure exams exhibited what so. I think it's better he moves away quickly from that position because he, clearly speaking, he cannot be holding that position that will cancel the licensure exams. That would be defeat. One of those things I think he should never do. And the many more that he wants to do that will be quantifying and just as we're doing that for the other part.
Oh, so as far as you're concerned, the licensure exam should not be touched.
It shouldn't be touched. It should continue.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It should not be cancelled. It will be devastating if cancelled. It will be quite frankly unwise to do that. It should not. You see, the challenge here is that if just look at the outcome. The outcomes of the so-called free SHS is what we are interested in, right? The other day I told you, I'm more interested in knowing the percentage contribution to the GDP of free SHS rather than just the numbers going through. It's good to have people go to school. Don't get me wrong, and it's good, really, for education to pass through them rather than they passing through the schools, which is what is happening most of the time. So that if people have gone through SHS and then they can feel basic, numeracy and literacy after being trained as teachers, clearly there's a problem with the educational. There is a big problem. So if we are going to cancel the licensure exam, which for me is another layer to examine people who have been badly prepared, then clearly we're going nowhere. So I make the point about not canceling this thing on the basis of the fact that it's just been, recycling of literacy rate, which is happening most of the SHS schools. In fact, so to cancel the licensure exam is to basically sign the death warrant to teacher education. I don't think we should do that.
Well, I guess we'll get to that conversation, like you said. I want to thank you, but I also have a question for you because I read from your Facebook page that you have the legal team that is fighting the case for Santroko Akpafololobi Likpe has been strengthened by some new additions. Where are you in that case, and who are the new faces, and how important are they to your case?
Well, as you know, we've been discarded more or less by major parties, mostly. I should say that. I say that because even when we went to Parliament and the Speaker interacted and met with some leadership of the NDC, we wanted to help with all of that. Maybe with the exception of the other. I don't know. I probably don't have to mention it. But nothing, absolutely nothing has happened on that front, and I just don't know why. But well, we are comforted with the fact that we were fighting it on two fronts, probably three fronts. One on the through the Parliament, the other through the legal, because the aberration at Hawaii is still not forgotten. We have not forgotten that at all. When we were railroaded and started, that's what we are currently. That's what the fight is now starting from. And with the help of the Gata and Marietta and Lita, we think that Kashu especially, that man has a soul, really, serious. The thing that is doing this globally, it's even the more important and but, I mean, it's healing enough, right? So the legal processes has and he's taking over fully. In fact, he's been involved. Just that the court, the actors in who were a bit more. I wouldn't say that they were too slow, but I think they've done their bit. But he's now taking it fully over because he thought that operation ought to. So that is what this began for.
But ultimately, everybody will be wondering what will be the objective of continuing this case, because it doesn't seem we'll get to any point where there'll be an election held for the people, for them to get representation in this period, in this term of parliament. That they've already indicated that you'll get a new constituency and an election will be held. That the harm is already done. What do you say to those who hold that opinion?
Well, I mean, I suspect that it is important to correct legal correct certain wrongs, then however you want to correct them, whatever means you want to use, actually matter. And I think on this particular one, they're trying to correct the whole creation issue, lumping of us into a district that obviously was not properly done. I think that's what is being contested. The other process, which has to do with us getting a new constituency, that obviously the House has to do with it. I understand that from the state. That would probably have to wait for the next election. So the what is being fought now is that legality that was. So yes, I can understand that the House has moved on in the matter of the constituency. It doesn't stop us from fighting other battles.